later. One eternity later.
Assalamualaikum and a very good afternoon and welcome back to Meletop COVID-19 edition with your host of the day, Syazwan, and today we are going to be discussing about a very interesting topic. But can you guess based on the skits that you have watched? Exactly! You are very incorrect. Today we are actually going to be talking about the importance of implementing sex education in our syllabus. Hah? Salah topik?
Bruh.
Ni bukan current issue. Oh tu untuk current issue. Ni apa? Ni professional development. Sorry. Today we are actually going to be talking about a very common issues practiced by Malaysian workers, which is professional and workplace ethics. But our days would be incomplete if I were to be here alone. Thus, I'm welcoming you, our newly Nikabi sister, Nurhafizah.
Assalamualaikum and hi guys. Before we start, I would like to thank everyone for the enormous support that I have received on my transformation. Doakan saya istiqamah ya. Alright, so let's go straight to our main topic today. So Syazwan has already introduced the topic, but what exactly is the meaning of the word ethic? Mind to share it with our audience, Syuk?
Well, there are many types of ethics. We have internet ethics, also known as etiquette. We have driving ethics. We have dining ethics, and many more. Well, to begin with, ethics can be defined as moral principles that govern a person's behavior or the conducting of an activity. But specifically today, we are going to be talking about professional and workplace ethics. But before we dig deep into that, Fiza, can you please tell us a little bit about the importance of having professional and workplace ethics?
So some of the importance of having these ethics are to ensure positive ambience in the workplace, to ensure management guides and mentors their employees well, and strengthening the bond among employees as well as their superiors. Not only that, productivity will increase and less unnecessary issues would occur in the workplace, thus ensuring a friendly and harmonious environment.
Now that's about it. But people, what is the difference between professional ethics and workplace ethics? How is it different? Well, Fiza, if you don't mind, allow me to take the floor, will you? Well, you might ask, how is professional ethics and workplace ethics different? Well, they are quite similar to each other, but not entirely the same. Professional ethics refers to the principles that govern the behavior of a person or group in or outside of a business environment. Simply put, professional ethics refers to a person's behavior not just in workplace but outside of the workplace as well. It refers to how one acts towards an individuals. Workplace ethics, on the other hand, refers to the way employees in an organization govern themselves and their overall work attitude. It refers to the morality, to how you act, especially in a work environment. Well, if you have done the catbird scene in women in literature, Mr. Martin is actually a very clear depiction of someone who has a very good workplace ethics but not necessarily possess a good professional ethics. If you haven't read about it already, I suggest you do, so that you get a clear view of how is professional ethics and workplace ethics different. Well, here I have listed some examples of someone who do not quite possess a good professional ethics. This someone could be a person who would let their personal problems into influencing their business decisions, or someone who would let their personal problems to influence their actions, to influence their behavior in the workplace settings. And another example would be someone who would blame others for their own mistakes and making excuses. Instead of learning from their mistakes, instead of admitting their mistakes, they blame others and make excuses to protect themselves from further harm. Another example, this one is very clear. Another example of someone who do not possess good professional ethics is someone who would show disrespect to other people. They might appear as someone who is very innocent in front of their employers, in front of their colleagues, but not as innocent in front of other people, such as the janitors. Someone who do not respect older people. For an instance, someone who do not respect a janitor is someone who is clearly do not possess a good professional ethics, except for if there are reasons why they do that, except for maybe the janitors are someone who is problematic. Well, if you have some of these traits, you might as well reflect on yourself and perhaps make some changes. I have also listed some of the characteristics of someone who possesses a good professional ethics. Well, number one is attitude. Someone who possesses a good attitude is someone who is professionally ethical. How is that? Well, number one is someone who would demonstrate positive attitude in front of everybody else. This is someone who you would see smiling all day, looking very happy, looking very cheerful in front of everybody else, even though they might be dying inside. But this is a very good example. This is an example that you should be practicing, so that people around you would feel at ease, would have the same vibe as you. And it is actually a key in promoting a happy and cheerful and friendly environment in a workplace. Another example would be someone who have a very high self-confidence. What I mean by self-confident is someone when talking to other colleagues or when someone who is presenting their subject matters in a meeting, and they speak very confidently. They speak very looking very relaxed, looking very professional. Professional. That is the word. Number two, another characteristic of someone who is very professional is someone who possesses good communication skills. Good communication skills does not necessarily mean that you are good in speaking only. You also need to be good in listening as well. Another characteristic is having a good grasp of the language. having good knowledge about the vocabulary skills, having good knowledge in your grammatical skills will signify your communication skills. Another thing is to have a good non-verbal language. Non-verbal language includes your facial expressions, your tone when talking, your body language when talking. Imagine being in a meeting, having the not having a good non-verbal language, you will go like, okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. In today's meeting, we are going to be discussing about blah 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 blah. Imagine how mundane will that be. And imagine people who are in the meeting hall, how would they feel? I mean, looking at your employers talking like, how would you feel? Think about it. The last example is to have a good empathetic in communicating with others. Okay, I'll give you a situation. Imagine you as a doctor talking to an old patient using all the jargon, using all the special terms that only doctors use. The pakcik will most probably go like, nak, pakcik ni sakit natang apa sebenarnya? Oh, I'm sorry pakcik, you actually have cold fever, that's all. See, that is why being empathetic when talking to someone is a very important and shows how good your communication skill is. So, bear that in mind. Number 3, having a good organizational skills is also another characteristics of professional ethics. I mean, a professional and good employee will know their priority. They know how to prioritize and know which is more important than another. For an example, if your friends invites you to play some pool at the mall, like Mike, jomlah kita pergi main pool dekat mall. I'm sorry, I actually have a lot of works to attend to. Alah, hang boleh buat lain kali lah kerja tu. No, I'm truly sorry. I really need to finish my task first before anything else. Now that is a good example of someone who is very professional, who have a very organizational skills, and will define whether you have a good professional ethics or not. Another example is someone who could effectively manage their times at work. For an example, if you actually have crazy of works to be done and to be submitted on the same day, a professional employee will know how to effectively manage their times and work under pressure. Lastly, number 4. Another characteristics of someone who is very professional is someone who is very respectful towards others, and this includes accepting and acknowledging everyone's strengths and weaknesses. Of course, different people have different strengths and weaknesses, and instead of blaming them on their weaknesses, you should help them. You should assist them to become a better worker or a better person as a whole, and this will promote a more friendly, a more happy, a more harmonious working environment, which will assist in the betterment of your company or organization. Another thing is to develop a good relationship with everyone. By everyone, I do not just mean your colleagues. I do not just mean your employers. It also includes, allow me to use the word inferior, people who are less superior than you. And that includes the janitor, that includes the mama dispatch, gitu. So you should be kind to everyone, and this is a very good traits of someone who is very professional. And if you have all these 4 characteristics that I mentioned before, give yourself a round of applause. That shows you are very professional, and that shows you are a good person as a whole. So that's about it about professional ethics. I will now pass the floor to Nurhafizah to further explain on workplace ethics. I have explained professional ethics. Nurhafizah will explain the workplace ethics so that you know why and how is it different. Thank you.
So I will continue with workplace ethic. Well, workplace ethic refers to the way employees in an organization govern themselves as well as their overall work attitude. Yes, it is not that different as compared to professional ethics discussed by Shuk. It's just that this type of ethic or workplace ethic is strictly focused on the workplace settings. Now, what are some of the ethical behaviors in workplace? It includes obeying the company's rules, although I know some people stand by the saying rules are meant to be broken, but that's unethical, yeah? Take responsibility, be accountable, uphold trust and be genuine, show initiative in doing tasks and problem solving, as well as respecting our colleagues. Well, the list goes on, and I believe our audience know other ethical behaviors, right? What about the opposite of it, which is unethical behaviors? They are telling lies, extended breaks, well, coming in later than we're supposed to, very familiar, right? Doing non-office related work, taking credits for others' hard work, and the most sensitive issue, which is verbal or sexual harassment or abuse that can happen to both male and female employees. And lastly, corrupted policies. So you might think that these behaviors that I mentioned just now are like common sense. Like, of course we know what are the do's and the don'ts when it comes to working. Well, as common as it sounds, it is still important for us to know about workplace ethics to avoid cases like this to happen. Now, let's do some reflection. Have you ever worked in any organization before? Have you encountered any unethical behaviors made by any employees? Have your parents or your family or your friends ever told you about their experience handling situations like this? Or at least, have you ever read any news articles or tweets about this issue? I know, right? We can help but to admit that these do happen and we should stop these unethical behaviors. So some of you might wonder, what are the causes of these unethical behaviors in workplace? Bell and Cantarelli made a meta-analysis to synthesize 137 experiments in 73 articles, and they found out several causes of this behavior. The first one is exposure to members who misbehave or to people who benefit from these actions. So this makes them believe that it is okay to misbehave because other people is doing it too. The second one is greed and egocentrism, which means that you would do anything to succeed. The third one is self-justification, which means you would give excuses to back up your unethical actions. And the fourth one is challenging performance goals or time pressure that makes one to discard ethics just to accomplish whatever he's working for. So what are the ways to prevent unethical behaviors? The first one is by creating a code of conduct. So it is very important for an organization to come out with this code of conduct so that employees would know their boundaries and would treat this as their guideline. The second one is to lead by example. Of course, especially if you are the superiors. So you cannot expect your subordinates or your colleagues to be ethical if you are the one who misbehaves, right? The third one is reinforce consequences on unethical acts. Yes, just like what Skinner, the behaviorist, said in his operant conditioning, which is to use punishment to reduce unwanted behavior. The fourth one is to promote transparency, openness, and communication. By having this, employees would not hesitate to talk to each other, to give advice to each other, and eventually can reduce unethical actions from happening. And the last one is to offer ethics training. Alright, so we have invited a few interesting guests that would discuss further on professional accountability and integrity. I'm sure you're familiar with this duo. Without further ado, let's welcome these two hottest celebrities in Malaysia, Farah and Nadi Al-Hadad.
Assalamualaikum everyone, it's me Farah
and Nadi Al-Hadad here. Assalamualaikum and hello everyone. So for today we have a very interesting topic that we would like to share and discuss with all of you. Right, Farah?
That's right, Nadi. Today we're going to talk about a very special topic, which is professional accountability and integrity. But we will divide the topic into two, which are professional accountability and professional integrity.
Yes, that's true. So we will start with my topic first, which is professional accountability. So I guess I'm going to see you later, Farah. Let's go, guys. Professional accountability. For you to understand what is professional accountability, you need to understand the meaning first. So let's check the meaning. What is accountability in workplace? Accountability in workplace is the willingness of taking responsibility for the outcomes of one's decisions, behavior, and actions. For you to be regarded as a person with accountability, you need to take responsibility for any outcomes, for your outcomes, your decisions, and your actions. To make it easier for you to understand what is accountability, you need to know the 5 essential components of accountability. The first one would be obligations, the self-devotions to accomplish something. You need to be motivated to accomplish something. The second one is willingness. You must have power to do the actions, to take the action, and not only be the talker. The third one is intent, or reasoning at every step of developing a decision. You need to take responsibility for every action, for every decision you make. The fourth one is ownership, owing up to what one has done. You must take ownership for every task, every assignment you have been assigned. And the last one is commitment, dedication to accomplish a task or a goal. Accountability and responsibility. These two terms seem similar, but you need to understand the difference between these two terms. For accountability and responsibility brings two different meanings in workplace. Responsibility can be seen as sticking to the to-do list on the job description form without any regard of the outcomes. So, for you to understand the difference between accountability and responsibility, you need to watch this video. There are numerous benefits when accountability is being implemented, and I'm going to share with you 4 of the most crucial benefits. Number 1 is accountability can accelerate your performance. Accountability will evoke a sense of concern about your workflow. This also makes you more attentive to the smaller detail of your assignment or your task. Due to the extended attention you put into a task, your end result will be perfect, and this is something you feel confident. You're confident in your plan or strategy can easily be the deciding factor to overcome any obstacle and solve every problem and complete your job with the best outcome. You need to set up a milestone or a goal. The reason why is that accountability will help you understand your ability. This will help you track how close you are to reaching your goals and allow you to keep track of the steps you must take before becoming stronger. Accountability will help you understand your ability. This will help you track how close you are to reaching your goals and allow you to keep track of your progress. And accountability enables you to define what a success feels like and set milestones to measure your progress along the way. And you gradually will step up to perfection. When you start doing something or start your task, you can be easily distracted from your focus to achieve your initial goals, and accountability will help you from going astray and keep you consistent in your work progress. Eventually, you will able to achieve your primary objective. The last one and the most important one is accountability can keep you happy. When you are on the road to success, every milestone you achieve will bring you happiness along with a sense of accomplishment, and you will feel as though as a weight has been lifted from your back. You will feel stronger and valorous, and this will make your future experience even richer and more pleasant, and thus will bring you more happiness in your life. How to improve your accountability? First, you need to set an expectation. When you set an expectation, you will work towards reaching your expectation, your goals, and overcoming the challenges in reaching those goals. People are always motivated by a challenge. Therefore, it's a psychological way to set up a challenge which creates a window for motivation to jump in and also overcome a set of targets. The second one is to provide a performance feedback. It is very important to provide your teammate, your colleague, or your employees with actionable and regular feedback, both positive and negative. Positive feedback will create a sense of accomplishment in the employee and will further improve their ability so they work harder to achieve their goals. Negative feedback, by providing negative feedback, this will also create a room for improvement. And the last one will be establish a culture of trust. As a leader, by establishing freedom at work, you can improve workplace efficiency and also accountability. According to the survey conducted, the present generation of millennials feels more motivated to work when they are empowered to control and set up their own schedule of work. By allowing your employees authority over their work schedule, this is the first and initial step in having them take ownership of their own work. That's the end of my sharing sessions. Thank you for listening, everyone. Bye! Guys, I've just got some message from my neighbor, aka my BFF, Farah. And you know what, guys? She's asking me if I have some Maggie. Of course I have them, right? And she wants Maggie. I think she wants to cook Maggie for her husband. So I'm gonna pass this Maggie to Farah. Here, Farah, take this.
Well, thank you Nadia for that. But before I cook this, let's talk about my topic first. Okay, now you're back with me, Rashid, and we're going to talk about professional integrity. And we will start with the definitions of professional integrity. So let's go. Okay, so when we talk about professional integrity, it is the practice of showing strong adherence to moral and ethical principles and values such as honesty, honor, dependability, and trustworthiness. So when we talk about professional integrity, it is the practice of maintaining appropriate ethical behavior. So people who have integrity is described as an individual who makes the choice to commit to honesty before he or she is faced with choosing between right or wrong. People who behave with professional integrity is also generally uphold a moral standard of conduct both in professional and as well as personal endeavors. They would show a very good work ethic and communication practices. So yeah, honesty is the basis for maintaining integrity. Okay, next we will find out why is it important to have professional integrity. Okay, this is why we should have professional integrity, and we will look at it one by one. And we start with employee satisfaction. It is important for employees to be happy working for someone who they believe is trustworthy and dependable, someone who would never ask them to compromise their own principle. So it is linked to job satisfaction and engagement, health, and even life satisfaction as an employee. These are all important in order to ensure that you are happy in your workplace. Okay, next is reputation. It is about maintaining professional integrity, which allow you to build a strong reputation that will increase the trust and comfort others have when they are working with you. So it is important to make people trust you no matter inside or outside of organizations. Okay, now clearer focus, where you need to focus more on what is important rather than covering up bad practice, meaning that you are consistently behaving with professional integrity by channeling your energy to something that is more important rather than you wasting the energy covering up bad practice like dishonesty when working with other people. Okay, lastly is stronger teamwork, where employees today are motivated to give good teamwork in companies that are socially and environmentally responsible. So we need to create a culture of integrity and good ethical behavior in workplace so that it will be easy to build teamwork among the employee. Moving on to how we can detect lack of integrity in others. So these are all the points that we will look at one by one. Okay, so first, they do the right thing when there's audience. It is more to people that tend to yearn for the spotlight by only doing the right thing in front of an audience, which the decisions that they make are usually different when no one watches over them. So we need to observe this kind of people because they usually treat other people's who are lower in rank or status differently. Okay, next is conclude that if it's legal, it's ethical. This refers to people who like to lie, break promises, and make decisions based on greed. They consider their actions as a performance to be rated for approval rather than a step towards doing the right thing for the community. Even if it's against the law, they will still do it for their own benefits. And it brings to my next point, which is they don't care about little white lies. These people could get others to do a little lie for the first time until it becomes a habit to create a bigger lies. And if others know their lies, they would usually give excuse like it's just a little white lie, or they just simply put the blame on others. Next, they think that their behavior doesn't hurt anyone. So people like this tend to think that their behaviors such as lie, cheat, and bribe will not hurt anyone around them. Because people like this tend to think that they always right in whatever that they do. And of course, without consider others people's feeling. And next, their definitions of honesty is fluid. Because this kind of people always break their promises, never keep their word, and prone to change the truth to justify their behavior. So in short, this type of people are really bad at being honest and usually lack of empathy for other people as well. And lastly, they always have this kind of principle that do as I say, not as I do, which they behave in a manner that is distasteful for those around them, and others would also dislike this type of people to be near them. Okay, now here's the tip for maintaining integrity. These are all the tips that we can consider to do our self-improvement. Okay, the first one, of course, to treat everyone the same. Treat people with the same level of professionalism and respect, regardless their level of seniority and status. And when you treat people with respect, you will also be valued by them. Reward honesty publicly and repeatedly so that people understand that it is always safe and the best idea to be honest with you. So make it a culture to be honest at the workplace. Then everyone will work with professional integrity. Moving on, admit your mistakes. Admit whenever you did mistakes and apologize when you are wrong so that people will also think more highly of you by your ability to admit error. So you must also demonstrate your regret through your actions and demeanor. Another tip is encourage team to speak freely. It is especially important for leaders to encourage the team to come up with fresh and creative ideas. Also, be honest and critical, yet respectful and open-minded of others' perspective. In this way, everyone can learn to give and receive constructive criticism to improve ideas. Conduct self-assessments. Give a non-judgmental inventory of your own integrity and determine whether you need to take action based on potential areas of self-improvement. Meaning that you make a self-reflection so that you become a better person not only for yourself but for others as well. Next is keep your commitments, which to make a habit of always keeping your word if you want to develop a reputation as someone who delivers on their promises. This means that yes need to mean yes, no means no, without excuses or a change of conditions. For instance, it can also mean by demonstrating respect for others' time and notifying them right away if you are going to be late. Okay, last tip is put in maximum effort, which you need to put all your focus and effort into something that others would admire by demonstrating a strong work ethic and a commitment that results for the betterment of the organizations. Because by doing that, people will slowly feel comfortable to work with you because they know that you are very responsible towards your work. Okay, before I end our topic, let me share you a quote by Napoleon Hill where he said that when you are able to maintain your own higher standards of integrity, regardless of what others may do, you are destined for greatness. So to sum up this topic, being trustworthy and reliable, loyal to a company and producing the results expected of you are all the qualities that characterize someone who has professional integrity. So you need to have accountability and then you work with your integrity. So yeah, that is all from me, and after this I'm going to cook this for my boo-boo. So see you later. Thank you and bye bye.
Thank you so much to our respectable guests for such a short and sweet sharings. And with that, that is all for today. And thank you everyone for tuning in, and see you guys next week. I was just playing around. We actually have two more guests which will further explain on the issues on integrity and work ethics. Without further ado, let's welcome Vera, Verona, and Nurul Rose.
Hi everyone, you're here with Vera Viviana, and today I will talk about issues in integrity and work ethics. Alright, let's talk about the first issue, diversity and discrimination. Some people hold prejudices toward those of a certain age, gender, race, skin colors, and sexual preferences. Let me ask you this, does it matter? Does it matter whether your colleague is a woman or a man? Does it matter whether your colleague is a Malay, Chinese, or Hindu? It shouldn't matter, right? As said by Stephen R. Covey, strength lies in our differences, not in similarities. So we need to accept those differences rather than discriminate, because the diversity in the workplace brings different perspectives and creativity that can boost our work performance. Moving on to the next issue, sexual harassment. According to a survey conducted in 2019, 60% women in United Kingdom experience sexual harassment at work. Another survey by WAO, Women's Aid Organization, revealed that 62% women experience sexual harassment in the workplace. Sexual harassment can lower your employees' self-confidence, self-esteem, and motivation. Hence why it is important to ensure that the workplace is free from sexual harassment so that people can go to work without fear of experiencing such thing at work. Next is toxic workplace. So a toxic workplace is one where employees finds it difficult to work due to the negativity that exists in the workplace. Usually, in a toxic workplace, one, you will have no voice. You can't say what you want to say. You can't voice out your opinions, your ideas, or your thoughts freely, and you can't make your own decision. Second, bullying occurs. You might be mocked, you might be laughed at, you might be mistreated, and you might also be humiliated for things that you do and things that you did not do. The third one is no enthusiasm. There will be no one who is laughing, no one who's smiling, no one who is enjoying their time at work. Next one is lack of accountability. This means that if you are doing a task with your co-workers, they will not help you. You will be doing all the work yourself. But if it's good, they'll take the credit for it. If it's not, you'll be to blame. Next one is lack of communication. So in a toxic workplace environment, there will be bound to be miscommunication and poor communication between each other. Lastly is no teamwork. How will teamwork take place? if you can trust each other. The next issue is employees' well-being. A survey by AIA Vitality in 2019 revealed that Malaysian workforce are stressed and sleep deprived. The survey highlighted that 84% of employees reported at least one or more musculoskeletal conditions. The survey also highlighted that depression, anxiety, and sleep insufficiency contribute to low productivity in the workplace. So, it is vital to care about how employees are doing emotionally, physically, and mentally, because healthier employee means happier employee. And when they are happy, there will be less absenteeism and there will be an increase in productivity and motivation. Moving on to nepotism. Nepotism refers to favoritism or biasness in the workplace. It is never good to practice nepotism, especially in the workplace, because when you hire someone or promote someone or reward someone based on your personal relationship with them and not based on their ability or competency to do the job, it can lead to resentment. Employees will feel unappreciated and will lose their motivation to work. Hence why it is important to be professional at work. Moving on to the last issue of today's presentation, which is social media. According to YouGov 2019, 17% spend more than 9 hours, 14% spend 7 to 9 hours, 20% spend 5 to 7 hours, 26% spend 3 to 5 hours, 16% spend 1 to 3 hours, and 7% spend less than 1 hour on social media. YouGov 2019 also mentioned that the most used platform in Malaysia is WhatsApp, with almost 9 out of 10 people use the app at least once a week. This is followed by Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook Messenger. The use of social media at work can be both advantages and disadvantages depending on how one uses it. In terms of advantages, you can learn something new, you can discover trends and issues, you can even look for ideas online. But it can be a major distraction. This is because there's a lot of interesting stuff on social media that can distract you from your work for hours. And the next one is reduced productivity. For instance, you were supposed to, let's say, finish the job by today, but you were too busy on TikTok, on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, which makes you forget that you were supposed to do your job. You were supposed to finish the job. The third one is accidentally leak information. So when you are on social media, you might accidentally leak information that were not supposed to be made public, which can result in you getting fired, getting scolded, or punished by your boss or your superior. Okay, that's all from me. Thank you for listening. Bye. Now I'm gonna look for something to eat. I'm hungry.
Nurul Rose. Come try my Maggie.
Sorry, I don't have cream bowl. Anyway, thank you, Vera. This Maggie looks super delicious, but I think I will eat after the presentation. Let's get to our business first. My name is Nurul Syafiqah Ramli, aka Nurul Syafiqah. I will continue my presentation with handling ethics issues in workplace. Without further ado, let's get started. Alright, so ethics credos of some famous people that we know. Credos is actually a belief or principles that guide someone's action or work. The first one is from John Wooden. He stated that be more concerned with your character than with your reputation, because your character is what you really are, while your reputation is merely what others think of you. Alright, some people think that reputation is same as integrity, but they are actually two different things. Your reputation is someone's perception or public perceptions of your integrity, because it is other people's opinion of you. It may or may not be true. Others can determine your reputation, but only you can determine your integrity. The second one is from Oprah Winfrey. Alright, she stated that real integrity is doing the right thing, knowing that nobody is going to know whether you did it or not. Alright, so one of the most important traits one can possess is moral integrity. Integrity is what you do when no one is watching. It's like doing the right thing all the time. So integrity is like a compass that directs you where you know you should go when everything is pulling you around towards other direction. So these are the common and universal ethics schemes in human culture. People should respect the rights of others, keep their promises, be honest, take responsibility for their actions, act in the best interest of others, help others in need when possible, and be fair. Right, so how do most people develop their ethical belief and values? The first one is actually based on their religious belief, their religious upbringing. And then authority. Authority is an action or belief is important when someone important said so. And then next is culture, based on one's cultural, ethics, and national background. Morality is a common set of belief among most human beings. And then law and order based on what law says. And then intuition, something that we are born with, is actually the ability to respond to a certain situation quickly. It's like a common sense, I think. And then we have reason. Reason is actually based on logic and a set of experiences that form our belief. Although there are some universal ethics schemes and principles, but our individual ethics are shaped based on our own moral and ethical backgrounds and experiences. Hence, when it comes to the workplace, it is important that we create a common set of ethical principles and guidelines that govern the workplace. Okay, so what are some ethical approaches to resolving workplace issues? The first one is utilitarian approach, rights approach, fairness or justice approach, common good approach, and virtue approach. So let's know more about what are these approaches. So the first approach is utilitarian approach. Basically, this approach is like you focus on others first before you focus on yourself. The ethical action is the one that will produce the greatest balance of benefits over harm, which means the action is considered as moral when it creates the greater or the maximum happiness for a maximum number of people. Right, so according to this rule, an individual is responsible for and concerned with the well-being and happiness of others. Right, so in workplace, the idea of this concept is that if you conduct yourself properly at work, you will be able to receive or achieve your professional happiness. For instance, avoid causing harms and seek ways to help others in need. Right, so the key question for this approach is, what is the potential impact of your decisions on everyone? So ask yourself, if you are making a decision, is it benefits only you or others as well? Moving on to right approach. So right approach focus more on the individual's right to choose for himself or herself, right? So what makes us different from things is that we have the dignity based on our ability to freely choose what we want to do with our life, right? So, and then we have the fundamental moral right to have our choices respected. For instance, the right to the truth, the right of privacy, the right not to be injured, the right on what is agreed. So the key question for this approach is that ask yourself, is the person that you are working with exercising a right? Right? So do employees have guaranteed right in the workplace? So when you know your rights, you won't still when you were treated unfairly, and know what to do and what action should be taken when you are facing this kind of situation. To fairness or justice approach, so the basic question for this approach is that how fair is an action? Does it treat everyone in the same way, or does it show discrimination or favoritism? People should be treated equally regardless of their station in life, whether they are the boss, they are the cleaner, or they are the employees. They have to respect each other because everyone has their own roles in life and shouldn't be the subject for discrimination or favoritism. Both favoritism and discrimination are unjust and wrong, and if this continue to happen in an organization, it will develop the unethical behavior among the employees when they feel dissatisfied or unhappy with their job, right? And based on some studies say that employees who experience fairness at work are more likely to internalize the organizational goals and value, and also will develop close bonds with others members in the organization, right? So basically in this way, a management by fairness actually motivates employees to work collaboratively for a long-term good for that organization and its members. So that long-term collaboration focus on producing ethical behavior. Right, so the fourth approach is the common good approach. Alright, so common good approach refers to the action that are taken and the policies that benefits not only a group of individuals but also the society as a whole, right? So it helps to drive our choice to decide if the action taken will be good for ourselves and the society, right? So the approach urges us to view ourselves as a member of the same community concerning the kind of society we want to become and how we are to achieve that society. So in this approach, we focus on ensuring the social policies, the social system, the institutions and the environments on which we depend are beneficial to all. So for example, of good common to all include affordable healthcare, effective public safety, peace among nations, a just legal system, and unpolluted environment. So I will give you the example for affordable healthcare. For instance, giving insurance to people so that they are able to go to the doctor and take care of their health-related issues. Alright, so last but not least is virtue approach. So basically, this character-based approach actually to morality assumes that we acquire the virtue through practice. So by practicing being honest, brave, just, generous, and so on, a person actually develops an honorable and moral character. So virtue are attitudes or character traits that enable a person to act or to be in a ways that develop the highest potential. So virtue ethics helps us to understand what it means to be a virtuous human beings, and it gives us a guide for a living without giving a specific rules for resolving ethical dilemma. So basically, in dealing with an ethical problem using the virtue approach, so we have to ask ourselves what kind of person I should be, what will promote the development of the character within myself and my community. Alright? Okay, that's all from me. Now I'm going to eat this Maggi from Vera. Panjang pula lah Maggi ni ha. Let's go back to the studio with Nurhafizah and Syazwan.
Okay, so thank you Vera and Nurul for the very detailed and informative sharings. So we know that professional and workplace ethics are very important to be practiced by everyone in an organization to strengthen the bond between employees and to ensure a harmonious working environment. It is hoped that we could also practice integrity and accountability once we step into the working world in the future.
Exactly, Fiza. Issues that were discussed by our guests are a no joke, and it is actually happening in our society. Everyone should play their own role and be responsible for this to prevent all these things from happening ever again in the future. Just like Mahatma Gandhi once said, I quote, if everybody played their part, no one else would have to suffer and the world would be a better place. And with that, that is all for today for our show. Thank you to our guests for such informative sharings of knowledge and information. Thank you, Nurhafizah, and thank you everyone who tunes in today. I hope you guys learned something from it, and I'll see you next time in Malatop COVID-19 edition. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Yo!
Angkat tangan, Malatop, angkat